On my personal chart, Billy Wilder is #1 movie world director. I learned a lot from him by reading his books about him, seeing documentaries. He said once that anybody who doesn't believe in miracles is not a realist. I like it. Today we're going to introduce a lady from the field you might probably already guessed, acting, right after the break.
The ViaMia show is sponsored by the following people.
The ViaMia show in the past introduced actors, stand performers, but we never really had anybody who brought them to that comfort zone of acting. President of Tartlington Training Inc, CAROLE Tarlington, in person today. Welcome, CAROLE. And don't tell me, I know you are coming from Australia, but it didn't come because of me, right?
Yes, I did.
From Australia.
Yeah, no, I came from Australia in the 1970, really.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm just, because I'm noticing the accent, but you're not the only one with the accent on the set, you probably noticed. So you are training everybody to whoever feel like or want to be in acting. So how did it start? Were you actress yourself?
Oh, many, many years ago.
We didn't need
very
to know that.
olden times. In Australia, yes, I did some acting. I actually didn't really want to be an actor very much, but I did do some acting. I preferred directing and stage management, which I did as well. And in Australia, when I was growing up there was no television until I was well and truly grown up.
Oh, come on, don't make yourself that old.
No,
okay.
well, Australia was way behind the rest of the world. And when television did first come, I wanted to work in television. If you were male, you could work on the floor. That's how you could start,
yes.
boom, etc. But if you're female, you had to be a secretary.
You had to be secretary. So
yes.
That's how you started?
No, I didn't want to be a secretary, so I never did get into television.
You probably wished I was a man, right?
But I was also a trained teacher.
Yes.
So I trained as a teacher and worked as a teacher in Australia and Europe when I went there, at England. And when I came to Canada, I worked in schools as an acting drama teacher. And in 1983, I started something called the Vancouver Youth Theatre, which was a theatre for young people. We would take their ideas and create plays from their ideas. And
I don't know if you were catching the beginning of the show when I was introducing. I named a particular director, which probably these days people won't even recognize, but I definitely will remember his work. Billy Wilder.
Oh, yeah.
You know who he was. You knew him well. You are from the field. Just to name a few, Some Like It Hot or Odd Couples. He liked to work definitely with few actors, that's for sure. So like Jack Lemmon, and in his era, there was a acting studio located in New York, Strasbourg studio, and Lee Strasberg, the owner, the founder, he brought up a lot of great talents, people we even now know, and I remember because I read a lot of books about it, Al Pacino, Paul Newman, among all of those names that unfortunately not with us anymore. Your acting studio, your training program, does it run similarly like it used to be in those times?
No, because we work mostly with young actors. So we have young actors from 5 to 19, 20. They're not all in the one class, you'll be happy to know. So really over the years, I've been doing this in Vancouver for 30 years, working with young actors who are professional already or who are hoping to be, right? Mm-hmm. And I've developed my own techniques, but I'm well aware of Strasberg and Meisner and all the big names in. Mm-hmm. So one has to just adapt what you know. And I couldn't really say where my main philosophy comes from as far as acting, except for children, they have to enjoy it, but it can't be a place where they just have fun by mucking around with it, right? Yeah. I've always taken the philosophy that if you want to be a professional in anything, it doesn't matter whether you're 5 or 55, you have the same rules. Yes. So people always tell me that on sets, producers, directors, that our kids are very disciplined and they understand the craft, and they're very professional. Professional, that's what I wanted to say. And we really stress that at Tarlington, even with the 5-year-olds, because they want to be professional.
So you said that you have your own technique and you developed something on. I'm sure there was somebody that inspired you in what you do.
Well, I've been, a lot of people have inspired me. I work with a whole lot of people in education who use acting and drama to teach. So they've been very inspirational to me. You probably wouldn't know their names, they're not in entertainment, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't have to be from the field.
And also my own acting teachers in Australia and directors I've worked with.
You used to be also casting director.
Yes.
Yeah, that might be fun.
It was.
Yeah. So?
So what did I stop doing it?
Yes.
Well, you see, I really enjoy working with actors. And I had I used to be an agent as well. And when I sold the agency, people said, "Oh, Carol, you should go into casting." And I thought, well, maybe I should, you know. So I just went into it. And it was fun, but, you know, the industry's becoming so cutthroat that people will stab their grannies to get a casting gig. And I just wasn't into it that much that I'd do that. I had other things I wanted to do as well. And a lot of young people who really would do anything to get into it. And I thought, well, maybe I should, you know, move aside a bit and let them get in.
So how does it work when, for example, somebody comes with a very comedic kind of attributes and would say, okay, I really would like to become a good comedian. How does it work? Like, does the person also have to step to the opposite field? Like, they have to study drama as well? Or you just let them carve their own path?
Well, you know, we work with scripts from film and television. Some of them are comedic, some are tragic, some are just teen stuff, right? Which, of course, are big tragedies. And I've always found that it's impossible, or at least I don't know how to make somebody funny.
Unless the person already is.
Funny people have it, right?
Yes.
I remember Seth Rogen, for example, came to one of my colleagues when I was an agent and wanted to be an actor. And he called me up and said, not Seth Rogen, the other agent, said, years later, he said, "Did he ever come to you?" I said, "No, I would have grabbed him." And he said, well, he was 15 years old and was a stand-up comic. there weren't any roles for that.
Yeah, so people don't know. But if you don't mind, if we can step aside, because I know that you have other things to tell us, but before we step into break, I'd like to actually see what you do in the classes. I know you brought us some pictures, and if you can, maybe describe them for us as soon as we see them on the screen. Like, for example, this first one.
Yes. This is, we do a big showcase of talent every year at the Culch. And it's a professional show, and many people from the industry come. If you want to come, we'll invite you. It's on June 3rd this year. And we usually do 2 songs, one at the top of the show and one at the bottom of the show.
Okay.
And that's just a shot of the kids on
that's
stage.
what I was thinking. It seems like it's a song.
Yes, it is.
And I'm sure we have more to share. What would be the next one?
Oh, that's me pontificating about acting. That's just me teaching.
Very much in control of the whole situation, of course.
Oh.
It has to be that way.
Yeah, well, you know, we have, we set it up the same way it's set up for an audition, where the kids, there's a monitor, and that's what I'm leaning on, of course, and you can see there's a reader and an actor there. And so, yeah. And this is also from our showcase.
A lot of action.
Yes, and in fact, I want to point out the girl with the red hair, for example, her name is Emily Juliet. Just after this, she was cast in, because a friend of the directors came to our show, and she was cast at the Arts Club in a show. So that was her first big professional gig.
What about this one?
Again, on stage. Most of the photos are from on stage, because that's when we take them.
That's where you're spending most of the time.
Yeah. We run it like a TV show, by the way, with 3 cameras.
Nice.
And it's all recorded and then edited later.
Okay.
That's also.
This is a really good picture. I like that.
Yeah,
It looks like a lot of action, a lot of fun going on there.
Yeah, well, that's our top class. It's a class that I teach. Those kids are like 15 to 20. And they're pretty good. And that's 2 other. Last year we did a whole segment on technology and communication, and that was the scene between those 2 girls. Yeah.
All right. So that was the way how we kind of end up just the first half of the show. We are going to be back after the short break with Carole Tarlington. See what's happening. You have a very difficult name for me. Carole Tarlington, president of Tartlington Training, right after the break.
The ViaMia show is sponsored by the following people.
We're talking about acting today, and Carole Tarlington is my guest. We haven't mentioned, but I know you see it on the screen, Carole's website, tartlingtontraining.com. Am I correct?
That's correct, yes.
Good. At least that's where I'm standing well. Talking about acting, Carole, with any part you play, I think that there's a certain amount of yourself in it.
Oh, definitely.
Otherwise, it probably not work. What's not going to be in acting. So doesn't mean that. What does it mean now? For example, if I see a specific actor in every role, in every movie, he's a murderer. What does that mean? Should I be checking his criminal record every single time when I see him?
No, you should just recognize that, especially television work and film, it's all stereotypical, right? You only get to play kind of who you are, you know.
So that's what I'm asking. Something wrong with those people, or?
No. You know, but like you wouldn't get Arnold Schwarzenegger to play a
romantic
nerd.
guy.
You know, because that's just not who he is. In the theatre, it is more possible to play things that you are not.
So the theater gives you more opportunities to opens up a little better.
Oh yeah. But you know, when you're casting, for example, the breakdown, which describes a character, will say a drop-dead gorgeous cheerleader. You know, so you can't make anybody into that character really, unless they've got what it takes to be that.
Yeah. What about improvising? Can that be taught?
Oh yes.
Oh really?
Oh yeah.
I thought that it has to come with the nature, something spontaneous.
Yeah.
Quick.
No. Well, taught by practice and by knowing the rules of improv. You know.
So if that can be taught, I would say probably that's one of the most difficult thing to get out of the person. Or am I wrong?
No.
No.
The most difficult thing is, especially with young actors, is to get them to be themselves. You know, to take on the character, but be themselves in the character.
Yes. Yes, I know.
Because they often don't see the character as them, and they'll talk about the character as the character. And I say, no, it's you.
Yeah.
And they go, oh, right.
I know. And it's sometimes, I don't know, I really wouldn't be able to be an actor. I just can't. One of our mutual friends keeps telling me that I should step into the acting zone, but I just can't see myself there. And many times I feel looking at the actors that if it's easy to forget the role they're playing and go home and just be themselves. You know what I mean?
I hope so. If their training's good, yes. Because, you know, I've worked with young actors. I'll give you an example. There was a little girl I was improvising with, and she was only 5 at the time, and there are other 5-year-olds. And I said, okay, this situation, you're riding around the school playground on your bike, your friend's fallen off, she's lying there still, you don't know what's wrong, nobody's around, so you run into the school and you meet the janitor, and that's me. And I'm too busy for you. So convince me to come out and help you. So these little 5-year-olds, you know, they say, hello, could you help me? And I say, no, I'm too busy, go away. And they go, they don't know what to do. But there's one little girl who has become a very good actor and has a big career going now. She begged me, she pleaded, she was so passionate about me helping her. And finally, she burst into tears, right?
Wow.
And so I said, okay, I'm going to come then, but this better not be a trick. And as soon as we said cut, she beamed at me and said, I cried.
Yes.
I said, yes, you did, and it was brilliant.
Very, very good.
Yeah.
So on top of all this, what we've heard, what you've been doing, you also wrote a book. Which you have it, we have it here, and we probably can see the front page right there. I Want to Be an Actor by CAROLE TARLINGTON. I briefly just went through it, but of course I won't have time right now to do that. I would like to look at it closely because I know it's on your website. Can we?
Yes,
can we find this book? So again, CAROLE TARLINGTON, tartlingtontraining.com. Yes, the second one, and the way you see it on the screen right now. That's where we can find this book, I Want to Be an Actor. So You already said what can be taught, and seems like more than I ever thought. What about getting rid of stage fright? Because that it's kind of associated with this field.
I know, it's the number one fear of people,
Yes.
right? To speak in public.
Yeah.
It just requires practice in doing it.
So you actually
I'm sure
can.
anybody can do it. Oh, yes.
Okay. Do you have any secret that you can reveal at this moment?
Just keep doing it, get comfortable, on the stage or in front of the camera or wherever it is you're working. I had a little 11-year-old girl that her mother brought to me because she was so shy. She just wanted her to do this to get, A year after that, and she came in, she was one of those kids that was like that. And a year later, she had the lead in a feature film.
Nice. Very nice.
So yeah, if they want to do it, of course, you can't drag them in and make them do it. So.
I don't know how it is. I know the stage fright that we're talking about. Usually, children don't feel it as much as later on when we're growing up, maturing. Well, looking at you, maybe I was not right, but you said the practice. Okay, practice make it better. That's what you're saying.
Of course, yes. It's never underestimate the power of rehearsal.
Yeah.
For acting, for everything.
So more and more you appear on the stage, it makes you better. Even though rehearsal there's no audience, it counts as a good rehearsal, good practice.
Yeah. Yeah, rehearse. I tell when I'm working with adults, I say, this will work if you want to raise. Rehearse it. Rehearse the scene with your boss.
Yeah.
Get a friend to be your boss. Rehearse it, and then when you go in to talk to them, so never underestimate rehearsal.
So now, I'm sure you've been in a lot of sets and a lot of shoots. You participate in a lot of these things. So how is it like we always hear the actors versus director?
Oh, do we? Well, I've found when I've been on a set, American Hollywood movies, that the directors are usually intimidated by the actors.
Why did I always think it's the other way around?
Well, I think, there are some difficult actors. One of the things that I try to do with young actors is try and help them never to become that.
Yeah.
It's a job that you should do well, and you do whatever the director wants you to do. That's your job.
But should director order actor to play in this, for example, his way?
Well, I suppose if that's what he or she wants from you, you've got to try and deliver that.
Yeah, yeah. And I've heard that the best director is the one who is not seen. Is that true?
Who's not seen?
Yes.
Not seen where? Actors
like
seen.
Like for example, they say that the best leader is the quiet leader. So I guess that's what I'm trying to lead to.
Oh yeah, the best actors that I've met are not the kind that are throwing tantrums on set. Somebody runs around, and I personally think they cater too much to them anyway. I wouldn't.
Good for you. And you also, of course, close touch with a lot of talent agencies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So do you work together?
Oh well, we at the end of each term that we have with our actors, we send out clips, I guess they're called now, to all the agents in Vancouver. And if they don't have an agent and they see anybody they like, they call us, and then we call the parent and set that up for them. But we don't guarantee that'll happen. But a lot of kids have got their agent, and so I know them all because I used to be one. And I've been in the industry for 30 years. So.
That's why I'm asking. You were an agent. You were a casting director. You've been all over these places, right?
I have.
So I guess this was your purpose. What do? You found your place.
Yeah. Well, I just when it stops being fun, I stop doing it. That's how I look at it.
And I'm sure you bring that on the set so other people can feel the same way.
Yeah, I hope so.
That they feel they're having fun instead of working hard to move them forward. So in acting, is the best acting when it's instinctive?
Yes, there has to be an instinct there. It's very hard to get actors to follow their instincts. That's a hard thing to teach.
Yeah.
Like they suddenly feel like doing something, do it, because they're worried about whether that's the right thing to do.
I guess that's have to be encouraged right from the beginning.
So through training and doing it a lot, they loosen up, do things that they wouldn't have done a year ago. You know, it takes a long time to train as an actor.
I believe that.
It's a lifetime job, actually.
Just the training, right?
Yes.
Yes. So I guess we need at least 2 lives. The first life is training, second acting. So that's
Well,
what
you can
say.
do both at once too. Most good actors train all the time. They're
Of course,
working.
we're learning all the time. Carole Tarlington and her website tartlingtontraining.com can show us a little more if this was not enough for you. And again, I Want to Be an Actor is another interesting book. And before I said thank you, I would like to ask you to add your signature on this cup like everybody else for this season. And if you can do that, if you can find place, that would be, I know it's a pretty challenging. We're finishing the season.
Okay.
Any place, wherever you find it, because we need to have you there. Thank you everybody for watching, and the ViaMia show. We'll see you again next week.